Authorities have captured a 16-year-old boy who was wanted as part of an investigation into the killings of 3 teenagers in Central Florida. The boy was arrested on Saturday by U.S. Marshals in Groveland, Florida, which is located about 30 miles west of Orlando. According to a statement released by the Marion County Sheriff's Office, the 16-year-old is facing multiple charges, including carjacking with a firearm, aggravated assault, grand theft of a motor vehicle, fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, and tampering with an electronic monitoring device. The 2 suspects who were previously in custody were charged with first-degree murder last week. Prosecutors are currently reviewing the case to determine whether the suspects will be charged as adults. The Associated Press does not publish the names of juveniles unless they have been charged with adult crimes. The shooting suspects and victims were all in a vehicle belonging to 16-year-old Layla Silvernail at the time of the killings, Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods said at a news conference last week. While authorities have not released the names of the other 2 victims, they have confirmed that Silvernail was killed in the incident. According to Sheriff Woods, everyone in the vehicle was involved in gangs and the 3 who died were in the car of their own free will. The motive for the shooting remains unclear. The tragic incident has left many in the community reeling, with some expressing shock and sadness over the loss of life. Some have also raised concerns about the prevalence of gang activity among young people in the area. In response to the shootings, law enforcement officials have increased their presence in the area and are urging anyone with information about the incident to come forward. The capture of the 16-year-old boy is seen as a major breakthrough in the investigation and has given hope to those who are seeking justice for the victims and their families. However, the case is far from over, and authorities are still working to determine the full extent of what happened that fateful night. As the investigation continues, many are left wondering how such a tragic and senseless act of violence could occur in their community. Some are calling for greater resources to be devoted to preventing gang activity among young people, while others are urging law enforcement officials to do more to address the root causes of the problem. Subscribe for more content like this. Whatever the solution may be, it is clear that more needs to be done to prevent incidents like this from happening in the future. Until then, the families and loved ones of the victims will continue to mourn their loss, while the community as a whole struggles to come to terms with the tragedy that has unfolded in their midst. The community of Marion County, Florida, is still reeling from the shock of the triple homicide that occurred last week. As the investigation progresses, authorities have captured a 16-year-old boy wanted in connection with the killings. This comes days after 2 other teenagers were charged with first-degree murder. The Marion County Sheriff's Office confirmed the arrest of the 16-year-old on Saturday. He was apprehended by U.S. Marshals in Groveland, Florida, and is now facing several charges, including carjacking with a firearm, aggravated assault, grand theft of a motor vehicle, fleeing or attempting to elude a law enforcement officer, and tampering with an electronic monitoring device. According to the authorities, all 3 victims and the shooting suspects were riding in a vehicle belonging to 16-year-old Layla Silvernail at the time of the killings. While Layla was among the victims, the names of the other 2 have not been released. They were a 16-year-old girl and a 17-year-old boy. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods has stated that everyone involved in the incident was part of a gang and that the victims were in the car of their own free will. The police are still investigating the case, and it remains unclear what led to the shooting. The arrests have brought some relief to the community, which had been on edge since the killings occurred. However, there are still many unanswered questions, and the investigation is ongoing. Prosecutors are also reviewing the case to determine whether the suspects will be charged as adults. While the names of the suspects and the victims have not been released, the incident has once again highlighted the dangers of gang violence and the need for greater efforts to combat it. It is a tragedy that 3 young lives were lost, and it is essential that those responsible are held accountable for their actions. As the investigation continues, the community will be looking to the authorities for answers and reassurance. The hope is that justice will be served, and that steps will be taken to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. In conclusion, the capture of the 16-year-old suspect wanted in connection with the killing of 3 teenagers in Central Florida is a significant development in the ongoing investigation. With 2 other suspects already in custody and facing charges of first-degree murder, it remains to be seen how the prosecutors will handle the case and whether they will charge the suspects as adults. The tragic incident underscores the issue of gang violence and its impact on young people in the United States, as all the individuals involved were reportedly affiliated with gangs. It also highlights the importance of effective law enforcement efforts to curb violent crime and protect communities from harm. The families of the victims and the wider community will be watching closely as the investigation unfolds and justice is sought for those who lost their lives. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel for authenticity.